It'd be so much easier if I could just apologize and be forgiven. I don't know who to apologize to though, and here I am. This quote is from one of my favorite mangas, or at least a manga I think gets a lot of hate. I believe that people write off the story of Girl on the Shore as just a hentai with a side plot. But today in this video, I'm going to try to sway your opinion if you do have that opinion, or I'm going to try to sway you into reading the manga itself. Spoiler ahead though, so I would suggest you read it first and then come back to the video. And hopefully I can enlighten you on some of these characters' themes and ideas behind them. Maybe that will change your idea on the whole manga as a whole. And if not, I hope that I can just make a video about one of my favorite stories that I've read that has impacted me a lot. To start off this short analysis, I'm going to be talking about the setting, then I'm going to move on to the characters, and finally I'm going to be talking about the final say, or the overall theme of the story at the end. The setting plays such a large part in the grand narrative of A Girl on the Shore. It's a sleepy town in Japan, for lack of a better word, and it's a town where we don't really see much activity. Other than the people who stay in there, the small population of people that stay in there, we don't really see much outside of that. Much outside of the shore. There's a lot of subtle metaphors that Inio Sano, the author of this story, adds into and weaves into the plot. And I feel like the setting is a big part of that I feel like people may overlook at times. The setting being a sleepy town in Japan, being a place where not a lot of activity happens, where people grow up, leave to go for high school, get a job, get a family, and stay put, where people will be there with their family for years without even trying to experience the outside world, plays a big part in the narrative, because that's kind of a parallel to the characters in the story's mindset as they go throughout the story. We see a character like Isobe go throughout the story being bound by his own ideology, his own idea that he was the cause for his brother's death, he was the cause for his brother's suicide, and he has no one to apologize to. And that is such a beautiful, beautiful metaphor and parallel in the story. Same thing we see with a character like Koume, who goes throughout the story not being able to express herself, not being able to express her true emotions, being unable to truly reach the sea, leave the shore, being unable to become what she needs to become to actually be a positive impact on Isobe, to help him. And we see at the end of the story she's unable to do so. And yeah, it's all part of the town. The town plays such a large part in the plot as a whole. I'm not going to talk too much about the implicit details of the setting and the town as a whole. I would save that for another video if that ever comes. But I'm going to just move on to the characters. And first up, I would really love to talk about Koume as a character. She may not be my favorite character in the story, and she may not be the most interesting character, and can be very hated at times by me. And I feel like people who read the story are bound to hate her due to the actions that she makes in the story. But I would love to talk about her character and what it stands for and her final say in the narrative. Koume is such a phenomenal character, and I think we shouldn't just look at her on the surface as a character to be hated, as a character to dislike, as a character that makes stupid decisions, but we must look at her flaws and really come to understand her character as a whole. A girl who's unable to look past the shore, unable to reach the sea. It's beautiful, beautiful implicit detail in the story, with her whole character arc happening just phenomenally. That's all I have to say. It's woven so well into the plot. I mean, All I have to say is that the shore plays such a big part in her character. We see at the start of the story her looking at the shore in a town that believes is boring, uneventful, looking out at the shore, only being able to stand at the shore, looking out at the sea. She's just unable to reach her full potential, unable to become the butterfly that she needs to be, stuck in this caterpillar like state, unable to get over this antagonist like character, Misaki. She's unable to get over this person who, for lack of a better word, abuses her in so many ways. Her mind and ideas are all bounded in this one dimensional thought that she'll just keep moving forward in this vile way. She'll just use Isobe, if that makes any sense. And we see that her inability to give Isobe a kiss, her inability to help him in his dire state, just proves how she's unable to see the grand scope, the grand sea right in front of her, unable to realize her own malice, her own malevolence that she is spawning on Isobe. And we go throughout the story, we slowly see her try to learn and learn more things and more things about the world as a whole. The impact that Isobe makes on her is so greatly done. I mean, Isobe, a character who's suffering, is able to open up her mind to the ideas of life and growing up. And Girl on the Shore is just a story about teenagers growing up, being an adolescent, but it plays such a big part in everything in life. I think the story plays such a big part in everything in life, if that makes any sense. That the story of Girl on the Shore is really just a story that anyone can enjoy. Everybody goes through this life trying to achieve this butterfly like state, come out of their cocoon, truly achieve what they're meant to achieve. And Girl on the Shore is just that. We see a character like Koume go through the story being unable to, yeah, break out of her shell. Um, and that's why I believe the final say of the story is done so well through her, being that in the final panel of the story she reaches the sea, uh, kind of indicative of how she's reached her climax. She's finally found the grand scope of the world, but the people she had to leave behind for that being Isobe. I want to move into the character of Isobe now. I don't want to dwell on Koume too much in the story. I think if I went into too much detail and pointed out every single panel and chapter and parallel and every single implicit detail in a character would take a long, long time. And yeah, I don't think I'm prepared to make such a long video. So I'm gonna move on to a character like Isobe, or a character named Isobe. Isobe is my personal favorite character. His character journey and how it affects the final say of the story is done so well. Talking about him in a small segment of this video would be an injustice to his character. First of all, I would like to talk about Isobe's hair. It's a great plot device used to portray his own suffering. When we first see Isobe, he has short hair, showing his naivety, and we see this appearance come back later on in the story. His long hair is an indicator of his suffering, his inability to break out of it. His hair was so long that it was covering his eyes, making him unable to see past this darkness, this curse. The curse that his brother placed on him. The curse that his brother placed on him is also a great plot device. This curse that he believes he caused due to his own ignorance and inability to see his brother's suffering is so tightly woven into Isobe's character as a whole. He hates people who are ignorant. He hates people who are happy just for the sake of being happy without really even seeing the true suffering of the people around them, without even seeing the suffering that they cause to these people around them. Isobe likes nice people. He believes that he isn't nice. And we see that throughout the whole story. Him believing that he was the cause for his brother's death. Him believing that he's pushing away Koume with no real good reason. It's just so well done. We see Isobe as a character go throughout this journey of self-destruction. We see him use different things as substance to try and ease this overall pain and suffering, which he's unable to ease even till the end of the story. And there's so much more I can dive into his character about, but I'm just gonna save it for his own video because I believe Isobe is such a well done character that it'd be just a real injustice to just talk about him in a short segment of this video. But I'm just gonna move on into the final say and the final message of the story through Isobe, through Koume, through the town, all of it. I feel like the final say and the final message of this story is really just overcoming the darkness that is in front of you, overcoming this suffering, finding something in this world. We see the shore, we see the start of the story, both Isobe and Koume at the shore. They're both there looking at the sea. They don't really go there to find anything. I mean, you don't really find anything in the shore. I mean, you're not really looking for anything. Sometimes you do find things, sometimes you don't. And it's kind of like a metaphor for life. You know, you go throughout life, you're not really searching for anything specific. You may find something, you may not, but it's just the journey. And we see Isobe at Komue at the shore, unable to reach the sea. At the end of the story, we see Koume find the sea. She's able to finally reach the sea as a character, finally able to open up, finally able to reach her state of self-actualization, or so it may seem. But we are unable to see Isobe's character reach the sea. He's unable to see past his suffering. His character's ending is kind of abrupt and stopped prematurely, almost feels like. We never see his character again after he's stopped by the police, and this naivety he tried to portray is just a lie. Isobe's curse will never be broken. His curse is the curse of consciousness. His curse is the curse that we are all riddled with. All of us as human beings are riddled with this curse of consciousness, the knowing that we can't be ignorant. Some of us can go through our lives being ignorant to the things that are in front of us, like Koume, or some of us can not, like Isobe. And I think the final say of the story is just really finding the sea, finding the place past the suffering, finding this thing past life, realizing your own problems and mistakes, and reaching the sea in a way. I think A Girl on the Shore is a phenomenal story. Everybody should read. And hopefully, through this short analysis, I was able to open up your eyes to some of the little character traits and plot devices in the story that you may have missed, like Isobe's hair. And I'm hoping to make another follow-up video on Isobe as a character as a whole. I think him, the shore, the sea are just such strong things in the story that I would be unable to talk about them in this short video without stretching the video out for like 20 to 30 minutes. So yeah, hopefully you liked the video, and drop a like if you think that I should make another video about Isobe and Koume and the town and all the implicit details that are in the story as a whole. Yep, that's about it.